Thank you. Now, for our sign-in sheet. At this time, Mr. Tom Morgan of 319 14th Avenue.
Thank you, Mr. President. Those of you that don't know me, my name is Tom Morgan, lifelong West Scranton resident, proud member of the class of 1982 West Scranton High School, went through West Scranton Intermediate School, and proud to be the last class of Abraham Lincoln, number 14. But I speak to you tonight as the president of the band boosters of West Scranton High School. As I'm sure the board is aware, we've heard several rumors, and I hate to use the word rumor, but that's the only word I can use, because we've seen nothing in writing with the exception of what Mr. Marichak quoted in the paper the other day, stating that the program at the school will be reconfigured. So we're wondering what reconfigured actually means, because we've been told that what's going to happen is that our band class will have a pull-out class. In other words, the students will be pulled out of another class once a week. Don't know what that means. Does that mean the entire band will come out once a week, let's say for sake of argument, fifth period on a Thursday? Or does that mean that one student will come out on Monday, another on Wednesday? How does that work? We've also been told that there will be no marching band except for the fact that it will be a club, much like the German club or the Latin club. Where does that leave us as parents of these students? Where does that leave us as boosters of these students? Where does it leave these students? There are some other issues that pertain to this program. There is, for example, if there is to be no marching band, or if it becomes a club. Presently, the students are taken to games, and from games, the district provides transportation for the district's instruments, so the students can play them at the games, at parades, cavalcades, what have you. What happens to all of that? I would imagine that a club will not be sponsored the same way. Just a guess. I really can't tell you because I don't have a lot of information. But we're nearing the end of the school year. We understand that our band director is retiring, and we don't know where that follows from there. I talked to Principal Geneleza back in April for guidance as to what we need to do, because our students usually begin in the beginning of August with their practicing for their field show and so on and so forth. So my main concern at the time that I spoke to Principal Geneleza was, what do we do about a teacher for that August session if we don't know by the end of this school year who our teacher is going to be? Mr. Geneleza did explain to me that there's a process that once the teacher retires, then it's put up for bid and so on and so forth. He was hopeful at that time that, again, this was in April, he was hopeful at that time that it was going to be known to us who the new teacher would be by the end of this school year. Then we get hit with this, and again, I hate to use the word rumor, but I really have no other word to use, of what's going to happen, and we really don't know how drastic this is going to be. What is this going to be? And again, as I said, yeah, I'm a member of the class of 1982. In my class, there was a gentleman by the name of Brian Perry, who went on to be a musician, who lives in California today, who was part of the musician family at West Scranton when I was there. So this is not just something extra for Mr. Perry. It helped him launch a career. So I would just like, you as the board, you may not know of this, you may not have any answers for me, but I would just like to know, as all of us would here, where we go from here. What do we do from here? I understand that the program is not being eliminated, but is it being decimated? That's my question. And I don't know that you people have any answers for me, or maybe you don't, but since you are elected officials, it's the only outlet we really have to go to get an answer, so.
Mr. Morgan, the marching band is going to be the same as it always was. Nobody's doing away with anything. You guys are still in business. I hope your numbers go through the roof. I'd like to explain to the group, if the board president maybe take you out in the cafeteria and explain exactly how the program's going to work for next year. I can't comment on who that teacher is going to be until we post, and it goes through that sooner rather than later because we have summer practices, I understand. And then also for the posting of the band director, the marching band director, I would say the same thing. We need to get that going as soon as we can, and we'll get someone in place. Your marching band is the same as it's always been. We're not changing anything there. And as there was also a rumor while we're talking about that, we're replacing the teacher for strings at the middle school. We're replacing that teacher. But if you give me 5 minutes, I can explain to the group how we're going to teach your kids music next year at West.
We would appreciate that, Mr. Marichak, and I appreciate
Mr.
your
President,
offer at the time.
is it okay if I remove myself from the group out to the CAF? or-
If that's to their liking now, would you like that?
That's
Would you
fine
like
with
to do
me.
that
Is that
now?
okay with the rest of everybody?
Okay,
seems to
we
be
on the
happy with
CAF?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you.
it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you again, too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Mr. Gerard Hetman, representing Lackawanna County and the Commissioners.
Good evening, as always, ladies and gentlemen. Gerard Hetman from Lackawanna County's Community Relations Department. To begin this evening, we will leave with the board a sample application for the Commissioner's Task Force on what we term the Big Idea. The Big Idea is a campaign that the Commissioners in our Economic Development Department have launched that's kind of a way to explore and look at some ideas that have come across our desks and the Commissioner's desks and our economic development folks in various capacities over the last few years. A lot of them get bantered around at conferences and sent to us by folks in the community, and this is a good way to take a closer look at those ideas. There's 3 areas in particular of focus that we're looking for individuals who live in the county to form task force to look at these ideas. The first is possibly starting a county fair. The second is what we term a destination point concept, developing an attraction or an event here that would draw people into the community, particularly on overnight stays. And the third is an area I think the board and your administration could be of particular assistance, which is exploring the idea of a STEAM school, or sometimes a STEM school, that being a school in the community that would deal with particularly education in the areas of science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. Of course, what I say to all the boards in particular that I speak to about this, that idea can take many different facets. So we don't want to rush to any conclusions. We just have that concept put in front of us quite a bit. So we would welcome any input, particularly again from our school boards and our administrators in the school districts in the county on those ideas. So I'll leave the sample application with you. It's also available to download on the county's website, and we would welcome any input from the district on that idea. I know it's something that your superintendent, Dr. Kirian, has talked about in her interviews with the press and the media and some of her public remarks. So she or anyone else from the district would be welcome to assist us with that program. Our second item here is our 3rd annual Lackawanna County Job Fair. Comes up this year. I'm just going to get the exact date for you here. On Thursday, June 18th, from 1 to 5 p.m. It takes place again at PNC Field in Moosic. And this is an event that we've done, now will be our 3rd year, and we invite, as the past 2 years, between 60 and 70 private sector employers from around the region to come and exhibit at PNC Field. And we invite anyone seeking employment in any capacity to attend the event. When we say any capacity, we ask all the employers to bring information on full-time positions they may have, but also part-time positions for retirees or someone seeking a supplemental income, or of course students looking for summer work, as well as also positions on information on positions, internships for the summer for high school and college students, as well as seasonal employment. So students are welcomed. We saw more and more younger people come through last year as compared to our first year. So we'd welcome anyone, again, seeking a form of employment. We'd love to see them there. And just 2 events in terms of summer activities. The first is closed to participation for a few obvious reasons. That's our Field of Dreams game, which is an all-star baseball game sponsored by the Lackawanna County Convention and Visitors Bureau and the Luzerne County Convention and Visitors Bureau. It takes place at PNC Field Sunday, June 7th, this Sunday at 1 p.m. When I say it's closed to participation, the teams are selected by the sports departments at the Scranton Times-Tribune and the Citizens' Voice. So we can't have the public play baseball, but it's open to students who are selected from District 2 by those newspapers. So we do see district representation in the form of student athletes from West Scranton and Scranton high schools that play in the event. But it is open to the public to watch and to come and attend. So you're all welcome for that part. We just have to, again, limit the participation to certain student athletes who are selected. And then last but not least, our annual 3-on-3 basketball tournament takes place the weekend of August 7th through the 9th on the first 200 blocks of Wyoming Avenue in downtown Scranton. And again, that's an event that we see Some older folks participate, and now I'm starting to feel a little bit older when I say that, but many student levels, from young adults being 3rd, 4th, 5th grade up through high school students and college age, play in boys and girls. We have different brackets for different levels of competitiveness. So we encourage you, as school gets out, to share that with students and families, because we do see lots of local people participate, and we'd love to let them know about it again this year. So that's all I have for this evening, and thank you as always, folks.
Thank you, George. Next, Mr. Lyle Carrick of Nutrition, Inc.
Good evening, directors. On behalf of the Nutrition Group, we are thrilled at the prospect of submitting a proposal for the food service operation here at the district. And inside conversations that we've had in the last couple of days, it's come to my knowledge that there was a change in a number submittal by one of our competitors. And so in that jest, in that open competition forum, we feel that it's important for us to also step up and sit there and say, you know what, we're willing to go a little bit further for Scranton School District. So our guaranteed number to Scranton School District will be $1,150,000 for the 15-16 school year. Thank you.
Thanks. Mr. Frank and Jackie Damsky of 1503 Forest Street.
Hi, I'm Jackie Damsky, and this is my husband, Frank. We had an incident for the last couple of weeks, I don't know who's aware of it, with the construction hub that was set up on the corner of Farr and Sumner. I don't know I know Mr. Brazil is, but is anyone else aware of this?
We are now.
Okay, you are now. I'd like to know whose decision that was, that they're putting in gas lines. I understand that has to be done, but whose decision it was to lease and have a construction hub going in a residential neighborhood. I'd like to know whose decision that was.
Mr. Brazil, would you like to comment?
I would. And it's maybe a week and a half ago, I was approached by the city, a city representative, for a construction company that was looking to operate a temporary site to install gas. I don't know if it's gas and water or just gas in the area of Mr. Adamski's property. This is a site of a former elementary school. I'm really not sure the name of the school it was.
Samuel Morris.
Samuel Morris. And in my conversation between the city and Mr. Krieger, I said I would put something together. I told him that the district would look to lease it as a temporary site. I was in the process of getting a lease together until we pulled the plug on it last week after the neighbors' concerns, of which, stockpiling dirt and equipment and trucks in the alley. I just will note this, that this is done throughout the entire city with projects of this nature. Obviously, the neighbors do keep their yard up, and many conversations with Jackie, and also I spoke with the LIPS director, license inspection permits director in the city, also the zoning officer. There were no permits, or nothing was required on our part. I did not go through with the lease because I did talk to John Marichek. I explained everything to him. I did talk to Dr. Alexis Kurian. We had a site that was only costing us in manpower of maintaining. I thought with the crunch that we're in, that $1,000 a month to the district would be better than nothing. Upon their concerns, I did speak with Mr. Krieger last week, and again today. The dirt piles were removed, and the rest of the equipment is to be out of there this week.
I have a question.
And restored to the original condition.
Now, you stated that you were in the process of a lease, am I correct? Is that
Yes.
what you stated? How could you have been in a process of a lease when all the equipment was there and there was 20
Well, they
feet of
moved in,
dirt mounds?
I had to get the lease for this week. They moved in last week, faster than I had been told.
Right, but I was
So-
just under the impression that you were in the process of getting a lease. So how did they obtain and set up a construction hub in a residential zone when the lease wasn't completed? That's what my question was.
We
I'm
were,
just-
we were in the process of doing that, and holding the district harmless.
Does anyone else know about what
They
the
started
process
too
was?
soon.
Okay.
They did start too
Simply-
soon.
Simply started too soon.
Okay, and then my next question is, people that live, I mean, I understand it has to be done. The gas lines have to be changed. But I think that we need to come on a common ground on something like this, and the neighbors should be notified. You know, we have a lot of elderly neighbors up there that have, you know, chronic health issues. This
Well,
is just-
I think, and I think you'll agree with me, you know, when you first called me with your concerns, I didn't get back to you that night. I did get back to you the
Oh,
next
you were
morning.
very prompt,
And,
and, you know, he had
and
was
every
very
day
prompt.
since, along with you and the city. I mean, it was nothing done that was sneaky. I mean, when you have sites like that throughout the city, it's incumbent upon the contractor to maintain the integrity of the neighborhood. And even when I spoke to you, and we said, you know, I'd have him move the dirt pile away from your house down the opposite end, you were somewhat amenable to that. But I think on my choice is that we discontinue the whole thing, because as I told you,
Your response was terrific.
The-
You know, you were
you
in
know,
touch with me
we're
constantly,
not,
which
we're
was
not
great.
looking to be bad neighbors. We're
No, I
looking to be
know.
good neighbors.
And we are the only property, I want everyone to understand, me and Frank's home are the only property next door to this property. We're
Yep,
the only one
correct.
that borders it. You know, I just want in the future that there's a hub set up, I think we should be notified.
It's just kind of ask me where, not ask me,
Speaking
but
to the mic.
instead of putting the waste pile 20 feet from my yard,
Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
If
And
they-
I had that same conversation with the gentleman that did it.
but if they just put it in the middle of the field, sweep up the alleyway once in a while because of
Yep.
the gravel, I had no problem with them.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I did express that to him. So that's gone now, but, and the rest of the stuff will be out of there ASAP. As I spoke, I think I spoke with Mr. Krieger at 2:30 and Mr. Sweeney at 2:45.
Now, I did talk to Mr. Sweeney, and I asked him about the laws, because I was assuming incorrectly, that everyone has laws and guidelines to follow. And then he was telling us that that doesn't go, because it's the city,
temporary.
and
It's
it's
temporary
temporary. So I don't understand how there's no guidelines that are to be followed, such as high piles of, you know, waste, dirt. I don't understand why there's no guidelines within
Yeah,
within something like
that really wouldn't have anything to do with us. That would be the city zoning.
Well, no, I think it does have something to do with you, because I think when you're leasing this land out in the future, I think that you should put guidelines in place for us people, for our protection.
Well, I can only speak for the last couple of years. I don't think there was other contractors on there before who actually left piles of debris and we cleaned that up in the last 2 years.
No, I know, and they were down at the end of the field, not next to our property.
Well, it was kind of dispersed. There's still a couple piles left from when they did it. But we did clean it up and planted grass, because there was a neighbor across the street, and I don't want to mention him, he's not here. And we policed it, you know, he called, there's cars parking there and all that, and we did do that. And that was going to be part of the lease, that it was restored to as good as, if not better, condition.
And our next question is, we do have an interest in purchasing that property. And we
You
don't know.
did mention that. Previously, the board had an offer on it. I wasn't privy to it. So, I mean, I would have no problem. As I said, the thing costs us nothing but manpower and time and effort, and, you know.
Mrs. Danforth,
Yes.
Mr. Brazil brought to our attention that you were interested in purchasing it. And what will now happen as a result of that interest is the board and our solicitor will get together, and we may be able to move on this type of an offer quickly. And we appreciate your interest, we really do.
You know, I
Because
mean-
it's sitting there vacant.
I know,
And
I know.
it could be transformed into something really positive, especially enhance your property, enhance the neighborhood. And the district has no future plans for that site. We have no construction plans for that site. So the
Yeah, and
idea-
it only costs us money to insure it as a vacant lot and to maintain the grass and the
You do a well
sidewalks.
job maintaining it, you know, you do a wonderful job doing that. The only concern that we have, which we'd have to get in touch with our insured, is that wall in the front. I don't know if anyone is familiar with that property, but it has that big, great, tall wall. Now, When that was a school, where was the entrance? Was the entrance on Sumner? Because I don't think it could have been on Far.
It was on Sumner.
Yeah, the steps are on.
Just steps up from Sumner, yeah.
The only thing that I'm requesting, me and my husband, are if somebody could please contact the city of Scranton, I don't know whose department that is, to send that street sweeper around to clean up, because all this gravel is popping up and, it's
I'll gladly
damaging
make the
my
call, but, as you know, and I think they told you, it's going to go on for months in that neighborhood, but
And I'm okay with that, but I think like at the end of their work week perhaps, instead of a buildup, one of the neighbors was walking the dog and fell. My husband drives a motorcycle and he almost wiped out on the end.
Sure, on gravel
So
or
I
something.
wouldn't want anything to happen, as this was going on.
neither would we.
Okay, and Jeff knows how to get in touch, Jamie knows
I
how to
have
get
your
in touch
number.
with me, yeah. So if you could give me a call and let me know what the land, we'd be interested.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I believe it's Joanne Davis.
Good evening. Thank you for hearing us. My name is Joanne Davis. I am a lifelong resident of Scranton, co-owner with my husband of a local eatery on South Washington Avenue named Mrs. D's. I'm sure that most of you, if not all of you, are familiar with Street Cats and Dogs of Scranton, located at the old zoo at Naog Park. We have been graciously given a 5-year lease on the zoo building by Mayor Courtwright. Our primary goal is to help manage the ever-growing feral and stray cat problem that has grown abundantly in literally every neighborhood of the city and beyond. Our organization supports the TNR program, which stands for Trap, Neuter, and Return, a program that has proven to work. Feral cats are first trapped, then neutered by Eastern Pennsylvania Animal Alliance, which is a low-cost spay and neuter clinic on wheels, and returned to the territory from where they came. They no longer reproduce, and because of this, it dramatically reduces growth of colonies, fighting, and noise associated with mating. They're also given a rabies shot. Once the colonies shrink, there is a decrease in unwanted kittens, of neighborhood complaints, of nuisance animals, and more importantly, fewer cats are euthanized, which decreases the pressure on local shelters. We know this program works, and we have already seen positive results locally. Animal control of the city of Scranton has been working tirelessly to trap feral cats for years, but the problem is an endless cycle. A quote from the Humane Society of the United States says, even if there was enough money to remove and euthanize feral cats, others would move into the vacant territory to take advantage of the food source and shelter now made available, thus the endless cycle known as the vacuum effect. Another fact is 25,000 healthy cats are euthanized each day. 70% of cats who enter shelters are killed, and the number jumps to almost 100 when feral cats are trapped, and that's a travesty. A study done in an 11-year period in 6 states showed less than 1% of over 103,000 cats that were examined had to be euthanized due to illness. Groups that provide resources for TNR, such as Street Cats and Dogs, have calculated the cost with TNR as considerably less than those related to the removal and euthanasia of stray cats. And that is why we are here tonight, to politely and earnestly ask for your help to support our organization and our goal of decreasing feral and stray cat population of the city of Scranton and beyond. We have so much work to do and very little resources. Our hearts are large and we have a great community support, but without monetary means, our hands are severely tied. We have been successful with some small fundraisers, but as everyone knows, the old zoo is in deplorable condition. Our long-range goal and dream would be to rehab the zoo so that we could accommodate stray cats and dogs for potential adoption and, of course, TNR procedures. The zoo could be a holding area for stray cats and dogs found wandering in the city limits. It would provide a safe haven for a lost animal that is picked up by animal control. And imagine the relief if you own pets you would have knowing its beloved pet was safe and secure. We have a great insight of this project and believe if we can move further, pressure would be severely decreased on the Griffin Pond Animal Shelter, animal control, and the city, both aesthetically as well as monetarily. We are here to earnestly ask a favor of the board tonight. We realize the end of the school year is coming to a close, but we are hoping in your good conscience you would allow a dress-down day before the close of the school year for our cause. The winter is over, and we have a full summer and fall ahead of us, And with even some monetary relief, we can accomplish so much before the next winter comes through. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your consideration of our group and for those who can't speak for themselves.
Thank you, Joanne. We
Thank you.
appreciate you coming. You do get, your group does great work,
Thank you.
and we're going to try to help you.
Thank you very much.
Joanne, before you leave, before the meeting suspense, could you get us some contact information?
I
For
have
us.
pamphlets there.
Thank you.
I think the phone number and everything's on there. There, yours, yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Joanne.
Under visiting delegations, the PTA representative normally is Melinda Crocus. Is someone from the PTA with us this evening?
No, she couldn't make it this evening.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Orr. Report from our student representatives. Student representatives from Scranton High School?
Hi, good evening. I'm Corey Nunn.
Bridget Stuckert.
Blaze Beebe.
Here to talk about a few things going on at the end of the year and some things that we did last month. As the school year nears its end, Scranton High School is getting ready to conclude another successful year. Earlier last month, we elected new class officers for the class of 2016, which includes Blaze, our class of 2016 president, here tonight. To congratulate him. The Scranton High Prom was also well received by the student body and was successful in regards to efficient preparation, planning, and execution.
At awards night and the Honor Society ceremonies, the students of Scranton High School distinguished themselves scholastically by accumulating over $3 million in scholarships. Additionally, Spirit Week commenced today. Monday was Decades Day, and Nina's Bite-Mobile visited the school to sell wing bites. Tuesday will be a mix and match day, and there will be a Scranton night out at the Rail Riders game. Wednesday will be Character Day. Thursday will be Jersey Day, and there will be a picnic-style lunches as well as an ice cream truck. And finally, Friday will be Spirit Week T-shirt Day, and dodgeball will be played near the end of the day to conclude the Spirit Week.
The following week will be the last week for seniors, who will be done on June 8th. Class day will be held on June 12th, and graduation on the 18th. Thank you guys for your support during our school year. We've had a great year, so thank you.
Thank you so much, and congratulations. Representatives from West Scranton High School.
Good evening. My name is Antonio Seco, President of the Student Council at West Scranton High School. As our school year comes to a close, I would like to thank all of you for listening to our upcoming events, activities, and achievements at each meeting. Unfortunately, Andrew could not make the meeting tonight. He is in the annual Excellence in School Theater Awards. West Scranton High School was nominated for 12 awards this year for Addams Family, the musical, including Best Feature Ensemble member David Lutchko as Lurch, Best Acting Ensemble, Best Vocal Ensemble, Best Small Vocal Ensemble for Where Did We Go Wrong, sung by Kaylee Martinelli as Morticia and Andrew Simpson as Gomez. Best Supporting Actor Isaac Charleston as Fester. Best Supporting Actress Ali DeSarno as Wednesday and Ali Basiliga as Pugsley. Best Set Design, Best Executed Choreography, Best Female Lead Kaylee Martinelli as Morticia, Best Male Lead Andrew Simpson as Gomez, and Best Overall Musical Production. We wish them all the best of luck tonight. In the month of May, West Scranton High School was held one Dress Down Day benefiting the Student Assistance Fund. At the Dress Down Day, we raised a total of $700. We had prom at the Radisson last Friday, May 22nd. Drama student Ali Basiliga was given the WVIA Award as Artist of the Month for her talent in dancing, and it was recently announced that she is a finalist for the Performing Arts category. Many senior activities are coming up, including Class Day and graduation. Friday, June 5th at 1 p.m. in the auditorium, Class Day will be held. This year's theme is One Last Trip in Paradise. There will be SAT workshops for the June 6th SAT held on Wednesday, June 3rd for mathematics and Thursday, June 4th for reading during period 9 and 10. Students taking the SATs from West Scranton High School are strongly encouraged to attend. Final exams will be starting for senior finals on June 10th. Undergraduate finals will be June 15th. Lastly, on June 18th will be graduation held in the auditorium. Now I'd like to introduce to you the new class of 2016 student representatives. Thank you all for the honor of speaking in front of you this year, and we hope to see you one last time on graduation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Cassie Merrill, and I'm the president for the class of 2016 at West Scranton High School. I am honored to take on this position and represent my school in the best way possible. It is my pleasure to be here tonight, and I look forward to meeting with you throughout the next year. As senior year is approaching, school gets all the more exciting, and I hope to help make it enjoyable as possible for all of my fellow classmates. I am prepared to work to my full ability. Thank you for your time, and I am looking forward to meeting with you in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Brian Martin. I am president of the Student Council for the 2015-2016 school year at West Scranton High School. I am greatly honored to be here this evening. Holding this position in my school is a great honor. I look forward to the duties and responsibilities that my position entails, as well as working with each and every one of you during the upcoming school year. Thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations. We have one more guest speaker, Mr. Torquato.
Good evening, members of the board, the administration, and Mr. Marichak, my old boss over there. It's very, very nice to see you again. I appreciate you giving me the time to speak out of order here. And that's a tough act to follow. The eloquent kids there. This is a tough spot here. I had several comments that I want to bring up, kind of in reaction to the situation with the music program at West Scranton. And, you know, I've been around long enough to know that a lot of times the information that you hear is not totally accurate, and, you know, it may or may not be, but that's not the reason I'm here. It's not really in reaction to that. It's just I would like to, if I may, I would like to point out a couple things of some observations of mine that are very apparent to me, and I hope you would kind of see things the way that I'm seeing them. First, I went and looked at our mission statement from the, by the way, I live in 1452 Bulwer Street in Scranton, lifelong resident. I'm a graduate of Central High School. I got a magnificent education in the Scranton School District, and the arts education that I received gave me a magnificent foundation for continuing. It's not just a vocation that, why you teach kids to learn. So most of the kids aren't going to go on and study music as their career. However, it's important to their character and the entire makeup of them. So I just wanted to read a couple comments here and then share a couple things with you, and I won't take too much of your time. It says the Scranton School, as your mission statement says, the Scranton School District, in partnership with the entire community, enables all students to achieve their full potential as they grow into responsible and productive citizens. That's a nice statement. The vision statement, there's more in here, but the middle section, middle paragraph, the faculty and administration continually strive to maintain instructional programs that meet and exceed the standards identified by the Pennsylvania Academic Standards. To facilitate student learning, educators, in partnership with families and community members, strive to meet the needs of all students. That's beautiful, and it's important, and we need to remember that. This dedication contributes to the cultivation of an environment that shapes the intellectual, emotional, and social growth of students. It is essential that all learning work collaboratively with others in order to gain greater appreciation for the diverse gifts possessed by fellow human beings. Okay, you may or may not agree with me. I think our education, public education, is in crisis, and I think it's not due to lack of talent on the local level. I think it's due to unrealistic and practically unattainable goals and obstacles that are set up by the state and federal government, mainly the state. That being said, you have a very difficult job. You really need to see that each and every kid, and we have a lot of them in Scranton, each and every kid is allowed to do the best that they could do, and their talents. We're not educating a workforce. I think that's wrong. If we think we're educating a workforce, then our clients are really all the employers in our area. They're not our clients. The people, the kids in school, if you want to call them a client, that's our goal. So our job is to see that every kid becomes the best human being that they could be. That's our job. and that's different. Math's important, science is important, English, incredibly important, okay? We need to learn how to build buildings. We need to learn how to build bridges. But how do we know what buildings to build? How do we know where they should be built? These are the things that the kids learn through the arts. Kids have different talents, different intelligences. And we know that, and it's been proven. I would like to see, I don't know that there's a problem right now with Scranton I don't know logistically the numbers that are in the buildings. Oh, and by the way, I don't want to be critical of any of our teachers. We have wonderful teachers. I'm not trying to save teachers' jobs, by the way. If these teachers lose their job, they'll find other jobs. They're wonderful people. They're wonderful people. They're talented. Where do the kids go? If a kid loses his junior and senior year in music, how do you get that back? You don't. You don't get that back. I think every student in our district should be studying music at the middle school and high school level. Every student in our district should be studying music at the middle school and high school level. I think it could be done with the resources that we have. I don't think there needs to be more money. I think what needs to be done is sit down and work with the talented people that we have here and the people who could organize. I have suggestions that I'd be willing to share with anyone, but it's nothing, I pride myself on never having an original thought in my life. But generally, if anything, if you need to do something, it's been done somewhere else before. So there are some ideas that we have that could keep our music programs alive in the district, starting with the young kids through middle school, and not have it drop off at the high school level. There are probably a number of reasons why that happens. I'm sure it's not an easy problem to fix, but it could be done. And I would just like to please ask you to consider the kids that would be studying instruments, would be playing in their orchestra. It's not just a marching band, concert band, the orchestra, the chorus, the choir. Music is critically important to the kids. In our zeal for improving our test scores, please be careful not to slight the arts, because in doing that, you're not going to improve your test scores. It's counterproductive, okay? It's counterproductive. There are no kids whose test scores are down because they're studying too much music. That doesn't happen, and you'll find out in the districts where they're losing the arts and the programs that they have available to them, that does not help their test scores. Again, in fairness to Mr. Marichak, I was not outside. I didn't hear what the problem was. I'm speaking moving forward from this point. Rather than have small, isolated little groups that we have of students that bear it out, I think it's incumbent on our administration to encourage kids to maybe realign some of the courses that we have, maybe working through guidance to help structure the programs that we have so we could continue the programs up through the high school level. It's stronger than, not just maintaining what we have, but continuing stronger than we now have. So again, I won't take your time any longer. Thank you for allowing me to speak at this time. Have a good night.
Thank you, Mr. Turquato. Next, we have the report from the PSBA representative, Director Donahue.
I have nothing to report at this time.
Thank you. Solicitor's report, Attorney Menorah.
I have nothing to report at this time.
Acting Superintendent, Mr. Marichak.
Nothing at this time.
The consent agenda, items 9 through 16. Do we have a motion to accept?
I'd like to make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
I'll second.
On the question, Mrs. Orr, roll call.
Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. Martinelli?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mrs. Oleski?
Yes.
Dr. Irwan?
Yes.
Mr. Sheridan?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
Under our non-consent agenda, we'll start with Resolution 10A3. Mr. Casey?
10A3, coaching appointments. It is the recommendation of the Athletic and Stadium Committee that the following be appointed to coaching positions as indicated for the 2015-2016 school year. Salaries in accordance with the collective bargaining agreement. P.J. Hughes and Carrie Fallon. Respectfully submitted.
On the question? Hearing none. Mrs. Orr?
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. Martinelli?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mrs. Oleski?
Yes.
Dr. Irwan?
Yes.
Mr. Sheridan?
Yes.
Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyhy, I'm sorry.
Yes.
8 affirmative.
Resolution 10B6, Mr. Donahue?
Mr. President, I'm going to move down to 10K1 first. To do
10K1? Yes.
Under Public Relations. To the members of the Board of the School District of the City of Scranton, the Public Relations Committee presents the following resolution for your consideration. Whereas the CEO, Weinberg Regional Food Bank, People Helping People program sponsored a children's produce market at McNichols Plaza and Bancroft Elementary School during the 2014-15 school year, and this children's produce market provided fresh fruits and vegetables as well as other canned food items to families on a monthly basis. And the market was open after school for working families and families that operate on a busy schedule. And whereas all families that attend the school were invited each month, regardless of income, and as part of the children's produce market, there was a fun child-friendly nutrition activity as well as nutrition education for the whole family, cooking demonstrations, and recipes. Parents were educated on how to prepare foods that they received at the children's produce market. And whereas the United Way of Lackawanna County organized volunteers to staff each food distribution, and they also scheduled community agencies to provide information to parents on services that are available in the community. And the produce market served a total of 503 households, 370 at McNichols Plaza and 133 at Bancroft as of the end of April. This included 1,181 children, birth to 18 years of age, 904 adults, and 18 elderly. And there were 52 agency informational tables, and the United Way Success by 6 program participated in each distribution. Therefore, be it resolved that the Scranton School District would like to extend its sincere appreciation to the CEO, Weinberg Regional Food Bank, and the United Way of Lackawanna County for providing this outstanding program to the students and parents. A special thank you goes to Lisa Bertadelli from the United Way of Lackawanna and Wayne Counties, and Gretchen Hunt and Mary Ellen Spellman for the CEO, Weinberg Regional Food Bank. Respectfully submitted.
Second. Having been seconded. On the question? Hearing none. Mrs. Orr?
Mr. Martinelli?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mrs. Oleski?
Yes.
Dr. Irwan?
Yes.
Mr. Sheridan?
Yes.
Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyhy?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
Mr. Donahue, Resolution 10B6. Absolutely. Thank you, Mrs. Salerno. Would you please come forward? We didn't know you were with us. Please come forward. Director Donahue, would you like to participate? Thank you for all your help.
Thank you.
Resolution 10B6.
To the members of the Board of Directors of the School District of the City of Scranton, it is the recommendation of the Budget and Finance Committee that the following be considered for your approval. Be it resolved that the Scranton School Board of Directors authorizes the administration to prepare the necessary documentation for consideration and for approval and for submission to the Pennsylvania Department of Education for referendum exception relief for the budget year 2016 as recommended by the financial consultant. Be it further resolved that the Scranton School District will comply with Section 333F of Act 25 of 2011 in applying for exemptions above the index for increased costs in special education expenditures pursuant to Section 333N and refinancing of existing debt section 3333A of Act 25 of 2011, respectfully submitted.
Second.
Having been seconded, on the question. On the question, for clarification, this is a request for permission to go above the cap under specific instances. It is not a request to go above the cap. And the reason that we are doing it at this time is that as being only one of 2 districts that still function on the calendar year, as opposed to the rest of the 500 school districts in the state of Pennsylvania who operate on the fiscal year, the state structures the permission window at this time of the year. Even though our budget is being done in December, we have to ask now if we were to in any way need to go above the cap. This is not a request to go above the cap, it's a request for permission to do so if needed at that time.
Under the question, Mr. President, that I'm looking at this, again, last year we were at the same point, asking for a request to go above and beyond the cap, and we gave permission, and at the end of the year, it turned out to be that we did, and we had to raise taxes. I'm going to be voting no on this because of the reason that I just don't believe we can put any more burden on the taxpayers of the city of Scranton, so I'll be voting no on that.
Just so it's clear, a yes vote is non-binding when it comes time in December.
Oh, a yes vote is merely for permission. Thank you, Mr. Casey. It's not a request to go above the cap. It's just for permission. Thank you. Mrs. Orr?
Mr. Donahue?
No.
Mr. Martinelli?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mrs. Oleski?
No.
Dr. Rowan?
Yes.
Mr. Sheridan?
No.
Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
5 affirmative, 3 negative, motion passes.
10B7, Mr. Donahue.
To the members of the Board of Directors of the School District of the City of Scranton, it is the recommendation of the Budget and Finance Committee that the attached be approved. Be it resolved that the Scranton School District accept the Auditor General's performance audit report for the fiscal years ended June 30th, 2009 and 2010, and approve the enclosed letter of responses to the recommendations contained herein to the Department of Education. Respectfully submitted.
Second.
Having been seconded, on the question. Mrs. Orr?
Mr. Martinelli?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mrs. Oleski?
Yes.
Dr. Rowan?
Yes.
Mr. Sheridan?
Yes.
Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
Mr. Martinelli, Resolution 10D2.
To the members of the Board of School Directors, City of Scranton, it is the recommendation of the Education Committee that the following resolution be approved. Be resolved, the Scranton School Board of Directors hereby designates Robert Casey as a representative to NEIU number 19, beginning July 1st.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mrs. Oleski?
Yes.
Dr. Rowan?
Yes.
Mr. Sheridan?
Yes.
Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. Martinelli?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
To the members of the Board of School Directors, City of Scranton, it is a recommendation of the Education Committee that the following is approved. Whereas the attached changes in the belt schedule are in the best interest of the Scranton School District and its students, and whereas the supervisor hereby recommends these changes are in the best interest of Scranton School District finances, and therefore be resolved that the Scranton School Board of Directors hereby approves the attached belt schedule changes. I so move.
Second.
Having been seconded, on the question. Mrs. Orr?
Mrs. Oleski?
Yes.
Dr. Rowan?
Yes.
Mr. Sheridan?
Yes.
Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. Martinelli?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
To the members of the Board of School Directors, City of Scranton, the Education Committee presents the following resolution for your consideration. Be it resolved that the authorization be given
to the administration to advertise for requests for proposals for a district-wide demographic study as per the attached. I so move.
Second.
Having been seconded, on the question. Mrs. Orr?
Dr. Irwan?
Yes.
Mr. Sheridan?
Yes.
Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. Martinelli?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mrs. Oleski? Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
Dr. Rowan? Resolution 10E1?
Mr. President, in lieu of the little talk that was given by the gentleman from Nutritional Incorporated, I want to know if I can open this up for questions before I read this resolution, because now that would appear to be,
Well, I think if you read the resolution, we could then open it to questions. We could open it on the question, and that could even be,
I don't want to read my name in there.
We don't want to read, she doesn't want to read it with a name in it. Can she leave it as a blank
I have a
without the name until the resolution's read and then open the discussion?
I don't believe then it would be an effective resolution if we read it without the name of the vendor.
Mr. Menorah.
Sorry,
how would
I didn't hear the
something like this-
question. What's that?
How would we do this? I only ever saw this happen once before, and I can't remember what we did.
What's that now?
I want to know if we can have a discussion before I read the resolution, or how,
Or you can have someone else read the resolution if you want.
What she wanted to do.
I want to
Mr. Morris,
ask
she wanted to read
questions
the-
regarding
she wants
what
to read
that
the
gentleman
resolution
says.
Without a name
Yeah,
for now,
I mean-
until we open up the discussion.
Normally, we entertain motions and questions after the resolutions are read and seconded. However, Dr. Rowan's position is that she would like to be able to open this up for some board discussion. I'm assuming that we're talking about Mr. Carrick's comments earlier, that you would like to have some discussion there. Mr. Minori, do you have some, Attorney Minori, do you have some suggestion for us to do this procedurally?
Well, you know, I think that, you know, if Director Rwanda didn't want to read the resolution, someone else on the committee could read it.
That's not the point.
It's not that I don't want to
Okay,
read
but-
it.
It's not the point.
I want to ask questions
Right.
regarding what
Okay.
that gentleman said.
Would
Well,
we be able to vote to suspend the rules?
I think you can do that,
We
yes.
could suspend the rules.
You can
and
make a
open this
motion
to
to
question
suspend the rules
now.
and ask questions.
I think Director Donahue made a motion, or a suggestion, I should say, that we could suspend the rules and discuss this before reading the resolution. Does a member of the board object to that? Then the rules will be suspended temporarily. Anyone who has a comment may so proceed. On the question?
To the gentleman that spoke up here, I think you said your name was Lyle, or Mr. Lyle, I forgot, sorry.
Lyle Carrick.
Lyle. When you now state that your company will guarantee 1.15,
150, all right, 1 million.
is that correct? Is that what you said?
$1,150,000.
Which I believe is what, $205,000 difference from Aramark? Is that what it is?
Okay, now let's talk about the fact that we had a bidding period that is closed.
Okay.
I mean, the bid procedure is over.
Well, we've had it open before where someone came
Yeah.
forward with it open. Yes, we have. Oh, yes,
No,
we
we
have.
cannot we cannot reopen a bid process at a board meeting. We can't. I mean, that's not, I mean, we have to vote on whether or not we want to accept Aramark's bid. If we don't want to accept the bid from Aramark, we could turn it down. But we cannot reopen the bid process in the middle of the board meeting.
And we can't negotiate in public.
We cannot.
Yeah,
Can't be
we
done.
can. I've seen this, we've done this before.
Okay, prior to my, yeah, if it was done, it was before I was here.
Can you table it, though? I mean...
Well, you can vote to table, you can make a motion to table.
Can we ask questions? Since we suspended, I mean, can we talk to these people? I mean,
I would feel more comfortable if you choose to table it. Again, I am unsure about what is allowed in a situation like this. If we table, we can come back later in the week at a special meeting when we have some answers on this. But if it was to be negotiated, I think it would have to be open up to all parties involved. But I don't know that for sure. I mean, that's
Negotiations are over.
Negotiations are over. The bid process was posted. It came and went.
We did an addendum?
We did an addendum to it. I really
You're looking
think
at it.
this is improper. I
I'm
do.
looking at a big savings here, big district.
What we're looking
It's not
at is,
guaranteed.
it's not guaranteed,
We
and it's
discussed this.
talk. We
It's
can discuss
guaranteed.
this
It's under the
anywhere.
guarantee. Is
But
that right? That
we're
you're not
just gonna have to
stopper?
disagree. I think this is a violation of board policy and board rules, and I for one, am against it.
I'd like to make a motion to table.
We have a motion to table from Director Donahue.
Second?
Motion's been seconded. Mrs. Orr?
Mr. Casey?
No.
Mr. Donahue?
No.
Mr. Martinelli?
No.
Mr. McAndrew?
No.
Mrs. Oleski?
Well, I'm going to vote yes, but
Dr. Rowan?
Yes.
Mr. Sheridan?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
No.
5 negative, 3 affirmative, motion fails.
So the motion to table has been denied. Now, we're back to discussing because we suspended board rules for the moment. I, for one, do not believe that we would legally, we have no legal grounds here. The bidding period was posted. We did that as a result of a resolution. And I mean, I'm not comfortable with this, not in any way, shape, or form.
I know I've been present before at a meeting where it went out for a request for proposal, and then it came back, and then there was like a bidding war going on in front of us, and we ended up saving more money.
I believe
There was a bidding war going on right
that was
at the
under the
meeting.
workman's compensation.
Well, not all
It
parties
was.
are here to do that. There's two others. I say we have to read the resolution that's, we're supposed to read tonight.
What do you mean by all parties?
There's two other companies that bid on this business. They're not here. How fair is that? The bids are over.
Plus, I mean, how do we ask, if all 4 parties were here, and this happens, and we suspend the rules, how do they go back to their corporate supervisors and get permission to go above their bid? I mean, it's not auction. This is not an auction bid. I mean, we're not buying cars here. This is our livestock. I'm not comfortable with this at all. Quite frankly, I'm really disappointed in this. And I'm going to make a motion for us to suspend our discussion now and move to a vote.
Second.
Someone second that?
Second.
Dr. Ruwan, will you read the resolution?
Sure.
Thank you.
10E1, to the members of the Board of Directors of the School District of the City of Scranton, the Food Service Committee presents the following resolution for your consideration. Be it resolved that the food service contract for the 2015-16 school year be awarded to Aramark Educational Services with a guaranteed return of $1 million to the district. This return includes the implementation of the breakfast in the classroom program. The State of Pennsylvania core contract and any addendums shall be reviewed by the solicitor and appropriate district officials. Respectfully submitted.
Second.
Having been seconded, on the question.
On the question, I was merely trying to save additional monies based on what that gentleman said and ask a few additional questions in light of what was said and past practice. I'm not trying to cause any trouble. I was just trying to ascertain if I could ask a few more questions.
I would just like to reflect on that as in the times of this district is looking for savings anywhere we can find them to help with our budget, to help not raise taxes at the end of the year. $205,000 is a lot of money, a lot of savings, and that's the only reason I backed up Director Ruwan's statement that, you know, if somebody can give a better deal at this time, we're looking for it, and I'd love to see it. And that's the reason why. Let me just finish.
Why?
On the question.
Why was this presented to the board before? He had the
He just
opportunity.
did.
I know, but he should have known what he was going to do before today or before this minute. Why wasn't it done before we got out on this floor?
I can't
I
answer
mean,
that question.
there's no
The guy
reason why
just
we
came
should
and
be
said that.
negotiating a contract here.
My comment is this isn't one of our better moments. I mean, we do not live in a state of anarchy. This is not auction bidding. We have a bid procedure that is outlined by law, courtesy of the Pennsylvania Assembly. We just follow the law. We posted, we accepted bids, we posted for an addendum, we accepted addendums, and we now have the bids in front of us. And it's over. And as far as I'm concerned, this discussion is over. Mrs. Orr.
The bids were studied by our administrative staff very carefully. And that's why we come up with this resolution. To come now, right before a board vote, and change a bid, I can't see what's going on here.
Well, the only reason it was said by Dr. Ruan's statement, in June of 2009, we were right at the same table with the workers' compensation. There was an actual debate right in front of him with the contract, and the contract was changed because it was a better deal given that benefited this district. That's the case law on it, and that's what happened. Mr.
Okay.
Dwight, you weren't here.
Mr. Sheridan, who was the solicitor at that time?
That the solicitor, what's that have to do with it?
Well, it has a lot to do with it. Who was the solicitor at that time?
I bet.
Was it Mr. Menorah?
No.
No. So the former solicitor obviously doesn't know the law, because this is a violation of the state law on bid procedures. We have a procedure we have to follow here by statute. By statute. We would be in violation of a state statute to reopen a bid procedure right now on this floor. And that much I do know, and I didn't go to law school.
That's only our view.
Mrs. Orr?
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mrs. Oleski?
Yes.
Dr. Rowan?
Yes.
Mr. Sheridan?
Yes.
Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. Martinelli?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
10E2, to the members of the Board of Directors of the School District of the City of Scranton, the Food Service Committee presents the following resolution for your consideration. Be it resolved that the Summer Food Service Program budget, as per the attached, be awarded to Aramark Corporation. This program shall operate as a break-even program. Respectfully submitted.
Second.
Having been seconded, on the question. Hearing none, Mrs. Orr?
Mrs. Oleski?
Yes.
Dr. Rowan?
Yes.
Mr. Sheridan?
Yes.
Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. Martinelli?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
Mr. Marichak, Resolution 10J1.
Personnel.
Sheridan.
Mr. Marichak, that's what
Mr. Sheridan, would you take this one?
Yes. 10J1, members of the Board of School Directors of the City of Scranton, is the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools that the attached non-professional resignations be approved. Respectfully submitted.
Second.
Having been seconded, on the question. Hearing none, Mrs. Orr?
Dr. Rowan?
Yes.
Mr. Sheridan?
Yes.
Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. Martinelli?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mrs. Oleski?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
10J2, members of the Board of School Directors of the City of Scranton, is the recommendation of the Superintendent that the following be approved. Permissions to attend, so per attached.
Second.
Having been seconded, on the question. Mrs. Orr?
Mr. Sheridan?
Yes.
Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. Martinelli?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mrs. Oleski?
Yes.
Dr. Rowan?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
10J4, leave of absence. Members of the Board of School Directors of the City of Scranton, is the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools that the following be approved. Leave of absence, so per attached.
Second.
Having been seconded, on the question. Mrs. Orr?
Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. Martinelli?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mrs. Oleski?
Yes.
Dr. Rowan?
Yes.
Mr. Sheridan?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
10J6, assignments and appointments. Members of the Board of School Directors of the City of Scranton, is the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools that the individuals listed below be appointed to professional positions in the Scranton School District. Assignments, so per attached.
Somebody second?
Second.
Has there been a second?
Yes.
Having been seconded, on the question.
You have a question?
Mrs. Orr?
We have a
Mr.
question.
We have a
Mr.
question, excuse me.
I don't have a question.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. Martinelli?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mrs. Oleski?
Yes.
Dr. Rowan?
Yes.
Mr. Sheridan?
Yes.
Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
We have two resignations.
We just need to go back to 10J5.
10J5. Yes.
10J5, okay. Okay. Members of the Board of School Directors of the City of Scranton, is the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools that the attached professional resignations be approved.
Respectfully submitted.
Having been seconded on the question,
I would just like to say, I would like to thank all of our teachers that are retiring for all their years and dedication to the children of our district.
thank you, Mrs. Oleski. I share that sentiment. Congratulations to our paras and also to our teachers who are retiring for all your service. Mrs. Orr.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. Martinelli?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mrs. Oleski?
Yes.
Dr. Rowland?
Yes.
Mr. Sheridan?
Yes.
Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
10M2, to the members of the school board directors of the city of Scranton, it is the recommendation of the Buildings and Grounds Committee that the following resolution be approved. Whereas the request of the use of Whittier School Elementary has been received by the Boys and Girls Club of Northeastern Pennsylvania as per attached, and whereas the Boys and Girls Club has been using Whittier Elementary for their PERK program for the past several years with great success, and whereas the Park It program offers recreational activities, educational speakers, crafts, games, and limited fields to children, and activities are held outdoors surrounding the school, which does not take place during the inclement weather. The club will provide necessary certificate of insurance in site. The site will be staffed by Pennsylvania certified teachers. 2 and 3 aides in all staff will have abuse and criminal history clearances. In addition, the only request access to the school is the restrooms and an area to secure equipment and supplies related to the program. Therefore, be it resolved that the Scranton School Board hereby approves the use of Whittier Elementary School for the Park It program beginning on Monday, June 22nd, 2015 through August 27, 2015. Respectfully submitted.
Second.
Having been seconded on the question,
On the question, are there any additional costs associated with this?
Mr. Marichak.
No, there aren't. There are not, to my knowledge.
Okay, thank you.
On the question, Mrs. Orr.
Mr. Martinelli?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mrs. Oleski?
Yes.
Dr. Rowland?
Yes.
Mr. Sheridan?
Yes.
Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
10M3, to the members of the school board directors of the city of Scranton. It is the recommendation of the Buildings and Grounds Committee that the following is approved. To authorize Geoscience Richard Scheller to prepare the specifications and the bid documents and to bid out the replacement of the cafeteria floor at Neil Armstrong Elementary. Respectfully submitted.
Second.
Having been seconded on the question, Mrs. Orr.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mrs. Oleski?
Yes.
Dr. Rowland?
Yes.
Mr. Sheridan?
Yes.
Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. Martinelli?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
10M4, to the members of the school board directors of the city of Scranton, it is the recommendation of the Buildings and Grounds Committee that the following be approved. To authorize Oliventi Roofing to replace the roof at the George Bancroft Elementary School. Oliventi Roofing is the lowest responsible bidder at $214,500. Respectfully submitted.
Second.
Having been seconded, the question. Hearing none, Mrs. Orr.
Mrs. Oleski?
Yes.
Dr. Rowland?
Yes.
Mr. Sheridan?
Yes.
Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. Martinelli?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
10M5, to the members of the school board directors of the city of Scranton, it is the recommendations of the Buildings and Grounds Committee that the following be approved. Whereas the school district of the city of Scranton has decided to explore the institution of the energy savings program, whereas the Scranton School District would like to issue requests for qualifications of RFQ for identification and selection of an energy savings company, and therefore be it resolved that the Board of School Directors hereby authorizes the school district to proceed with necessary steps and preparations to seek an RFQ from companies capable of developing and implementing comprehensive supply and demand side energy cost savings initiatives. Respectfully submitted.
Second.
Having been seconded on the question, Mrs. Orr.
Dr. Rowland?
Yes.
Mr. Sheridan?
Yes.
Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. Martinelli?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mrs. Oleski?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
That's all under building and grounds.
That's under the building and grounds. Mr. McAndrew, 1001.
Yes, members of the Board of School Directors of the City of Scranton, it is the recommendation of the Vocational Educational Committee that the following resolution be approved. Be it resolved that the budget of the Career Technology Center of Lackawanna County for the fiscal year of July 1, 2015 to June 30th, 2016 be approved as attached, respectively submitted.
Second.
Having been seconded, on the question. Mrs. Orr?
Mr. Sheridan?
Yes.
Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. Martinelli?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
I abstain.
Mrs. Zaleski?
Yes.
Dr. Rowan?
Yes.
Mr. Dwight?
Yes.
7 affirmative, 1 abstention, motion passes.
Transportation, Mr. Casey?
10P1, to the members of the Board of School Directors of the City of Scranton, it is the recommendation of the Transportation Committee that the following is approved. Whereas the current van transportation provider has agreed to reconfigure current transportation needs at a savings to the Scranton School District of almost 20%, and whereas the savings requires substantial investment monies by the vendor, and whereas the vendor has agreed to this investment if a contract extension is granted, and therefore, be it resolved that the Scranton School Board hereby approves the resolution and contract as per attached. Respectfully submitted.
Second.
Having been seconded, on the question. Mrs. Orr?
Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. Martinelli?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mrs. Zaleski?
Yes.
Dr. Rowan?
Yes.
Mr. Sheridan?
Yes.
Mr. Dwight?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
10J7, assignments and appointments. This was, what do we cover? That's, yeah, that's been pulled.
That's
Okay.
our last.
Yep, that was that. I mean, that was it.
That's our final resolution. From the President's chair, I would like to take an opportunity to thank our administrative staff on a number of counts. Mr. Marichak has been over the top in his performance on the transportation contract, along with his help from, obviously, from Mrs. Bevilacqua. We want to appreciate what you did too. Pat Laffey for his hard work in the office over the food service contract. It's a detailed and arduous task, and I can't thank you enough on behalf of the board for your hard work, Pat. And generally speaking, for all of our contentious atmosphere at times, we really do find ourselves in a position of where we've saved a lot of money going forward. This has been a really productive day for the Scranton School District, and hopefully at our next budgeting committee meeting, Director Donahue will be able to enunciate some of the numbers. That'll be a happy meeting. We've made some real progress. We're saving money. We're doing things better. We're doing things more efficiently. The process sometimes can be painful, but if we don't get leaner, if we don't get more efficient, then it will be at our peril. We have really no choice. And much, again, thanks to all of our administrative staff for what they did here. And I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I would just like to see
One
some-
moment, please.
Since this is our last meeting before the end of this physical school year, Mr. President, I'd like to wish everyone in the Scranton School District, all our employees, and everyone a long and healthy summer. I hope everybody is in good health when we come back in September. And I want to congratulate you, the district, on a great year of working together. I just want to say that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sheridan. Anyone else?
Are we going to have new business?
Under new business, Mr. Donahue?
Just one thing under new business. On a broad level, one of our main responsibilities as school directors is to make sure that we are adequately educating our children so that they have the skills that are necessary to be successful in the 21st century. As community leaders, it is vital that we make sure that the community that they grow up in is safe and clean. So as elected leaders of our community, we must protect our community and our community's children from the environmental dangers of continuing to be a dumping ground of the Mid-Atlantic region. We, as a board, should pass a resolution that opposes the proposed expansion of Keystone Sanitary Landfill. The environmental risks that will only increase if the expansion is approved, while also suppressing both environmental and economical progress in Lackawanna County. As a district, we should give our support to the many courageous people who have organized in opposition to this expansion. We need to protect our area's environment so that the children we are educating today can grow up and live in an area that is environmentally healthy and economically prosperous in the future. So therefore, I submit a motion for a resolution for the Scranton School District to oppose the expansion of Keystone Sanitary Landfill due to the harmful environmental and aesthetic effect on the future of Lackawanna County.
Submitted?
Submitted. Respectfully submitted.
Thank you. We have a second?
I'll second it.
Having been seconded on the question? Roll call, Mrs. Orr?
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. Martinelli?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mrs. Oleski?
Yes.
Dr. Ruan?
Yes.
Mr. Sheridan?
Yes.
Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
Any other submissions under new business? Anyone else? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you.